video on citations, both in text and at the end of the paper, if you didn't quite know how to do the bibliography correctly. I gave everyone credit for the bibliography because school got canceled and I didn't get a chance to teach anyone how to fix it. So many of you will just be able to copy and paste the sources you used from your group's bibliography, and the rest of you will have to transform them a little bit. So that'll be at the end so that you can stop if you don't need it. Let's talk about in-text citations though. Okay, here's the big key point. Every time you use information from a source, you need an in-text citation. Even if you're paraphrasing, summarizing it in your own words, and not quoting, you still need a citation. So that is rule numero uno, okay? Every time you use information from a source, let's make that go, can we make that go away? That thing covering my mouth? Okay, yeah. Every time you use information from a source, you need a citation. Next, where does it go? The citation belongs at the end of the last sentence of information from that source. So you can have almost a whole paragraph of information and then just one citation at the end if it all comes from the same source. The exception is if you're using a direct quotation, the citation can't wait. So if you're using a quotation in the middle of a paragraph, say, of stuff from one source, you have to put a citation right after the quotation, and then you can put one at the end again. Okay, so that's the only exception. So otherwise you can do several sentences and then you just do one citation at the end. What does a citation look like? Well, it is the author of the work and the year of publication in parentheses. So Zakuta 2020, I actually sold a story this week, a short story, to a magazine. And if one was citing from that, one would say Zakuta 2020. Okay, or you could say Obama 2018 from a speech. You could say, this is from the works cited example I have at the bottom. I'm citing Stephen King, King 2000, okay? Unless there's no author. Or you have more than one source by the same author. In either case, you just use the first word of the title instead. So in the example I have at the bottom, which is from a paper I wrote from a graduate class in literature, I used evidence from two novels by the same author, Margaret Fortune, Archangel, and Nova. So I had to use the first word of the title because otherwise if I said Fortune, you wouldn't know which one I meant. Okay? You guys probably aren't going to run into that problem. You're more going to run into the problem that maybe you're taking something from a website and often you can find an author if you really look, but sometimes there really just is no author. So if there really just is no author listed for your source, then you use the first word of the title. Okay, rule 4. It's a punctuation rule, and it's the last one. The period goes at the end of the citation. So look at this red part here. I have a quotation. I have a citation. And then I have a period at the end. Okay. So let's read this little thing. And I'm also going to make it a review of dialogue punctuation while we're at it. Okay. I wrote this as part of an example from an assignment that I tried to do in CT and didn't work out very well because people didn't actually learn the things I wanted them to learn, which was how to quote correctly and use citations correctly. So hopefully your online activity will do a better job of that. Okay, here we go. Dar Williams, after all, is about emerging from depression and choosing life. It suggests that by opening up ourselves to the small daily miracles all around us, we can let the world heal us, even when we don't find capable of finding joy ourselves. The singer begins with a metaphor for depression I've always felt was particularly apt. Colon. There's no said word here, okay? So colon to introduce the quotation. By the way, these slashes are just something that has to do with when you quote a poem or song, that you use them to separate the lines. You guys aren't going to need that for this paper. Okay? And it felt like a winter machine that you go through and then you catch your breath and winter starts again and everyone else is springbound. So I end the quotation, I have my citation, and then a period. Okay. This image of being trapped, and then I have my analysis. Okay. This image of being trapped in the cold, lonely dark of winter while everyone else enjoys the sun, perfectly captures for me the depressive feelings of isolation, jealousy, and even the selfish conviction that no one else has problems as difficult as mine. Yet after the singer chooses life, even though there was no joy, it's just a line I crossed. Okay, so look at this one. Even though there was no joy, I made it part of the sentence grammatically, so no punctuation, no comma or anything here, just quotations. Interactions with her family and the beauty of everyday life begin to seep into her heart and to change her. So the next sentence is more evidence from the same source, but because this sentence includes a direct quotation, the citation can't wait. Okay, so I have to put one here. Okay, even though I end with paraphrasing, I put one at the end of the sentence with a period after. Okay, she sings. It's a said word. It's an attributive. So sings takes a comma, not a colon. Well, the sun rose. So many colors it nearly broke my heart. It worked me over like a work of art, and I was a part of all that. End the quote. Parentheses around the citation, period at the end. Because she's open to healing, the sunrise is able to spark a sense of belonging. She's able to find a measure of joy and beauty that was there all along, but which she couldn't see while depressed. Okay, so you'll notice in this example that I have a citation here, okay? Even though I'm going to keep talking about information. Why? Because this stuff is mine. That's my analysis. Having a citation isn't just the correct way of doing it, okay, which we want you to learn so you can use it in all your different classes, okay, even in when you leave Mass Bay, all right? It's not just the correct way of doing it. It separates the stuff that comes from your source from the stuff that comes from you. So that's what I'm doing here. So this may be from my source, but this comes from me, okay, until I get to the next quotation, all right? And so citations are partly how I tell when I'm reading your paper. Do you have analysis after your source that's your thinking? Or are you just repeating what your source was thinking to me by paraphrasing, okay? So the citation brings what you got from the source to a close so that I know that the next thing after it comes from your head and is your thinking. So it's really essential, okay? And I hope this helped you learn how to do it correctly.